Oh, Jesus. Here we go. Okay. Fred Rea here, Rain City Capital. Hard money lender in the Great Northwest. I got two pretty
Hey,
freaking awesome.
Fred, can you pretend that you actually are excited to be here with us? Or just for our sake?
I can just recline if you want me to. Get really into it. Anyway, I'm here with the great Jennifer Beadles, good friend JB. I've known you for forever, and the great Tarl Yarber, the inventor of Badass. Let's get to it, guys. Are you ready? We got
Are the people here? Hold on. There's 21 people. People are joining.
Oh, they still keep going.
I think that they might be leaving.
On the chats. Like if you're here with us and stuff like that, make sure you say hi to us on the chat box so we can know who's with us.
Yep, that's what you got to do. So I'll go over the housekeeping stuff in a little bit, but let's start with some funny questions. What is your favorite takeout food or takeout place during quarantine, or are you getting takeout at all?
Jennifer.
Go.
Pizza from South Lake Pizza. And it's kind of our go-to.
That's awesome.
We live in the middle of the mountains, so we haven't done any takeout.
No takeout?
Yeah, and we did stay in Suncadia for 40 nights of the quarantine. We took advantage.
Did you go to the Brick?
Huh?
Did you go to the Brick?
No, like because for a little bit it was closed, and then we did take out from Buse or Bose or Booze or whatever it is. That was pretty good. And then of course we went to Owen's Meats a bunch, so we did that too. But yeah, other than that, everything else was pretty much closed.
Dang, that's crazy. So, what is the thing that is like keeping you guys totally sane during this time? Like as you're sitting at home, not really doing much. Maybe you're out and about, but not necessarily like talking to people, or you're 6 feet away. What's the things that you're finding? You're like, man, this is like, this kind of centers me and keeps me kind of in the game.
So we built a massive greenhouse. We got 5 chickens, and we started a beehive.
Dude, what did you name the chickens?
I don't know. They change every week. I think we have tulips, sparkles, rainbow, sunflower, and omelet. It's my
omelet.
I like that.
Yeah. It was like fried egg and egg-a-later.
KFC.
What's their names?
What?
So I've always worked from home, so I'm not really doing much different other than the fact that we can't go. We usually have a lot of people over, and we also drive our properties, so we just didn't do that as much as we usually did. And so instead of that, I drank and I did play video games. I do like video games. One of my people on my team plays video games with me when we should be working sometimes.
What are you playing? Are you messing around on the Xbox and like shooting people?
Yeah, PUBG. So that's what it's called.
What's it called?
PUBG, Players Unknown Battleground. But
okay,
don't worry about it.
Sounds good. Oh my gosh. All right, we're a couple minutes in. I guess some people are still showing up or potentially having problems getting in. But again, my name is Fred Rea, Rain City Capital, Northwest hard money lender. I got 2 people that I like hanging out with very much. I wish that you were closer to me, but unfortunately you're not. We got Jennifer Beadles. I'm not sure if you guys know her. If you do know her, you know she's awesome. But if you don't know her, and once I read these accolades, you'll be like, damn, she really is awesome. So multifamily investor, she does stuff like all over the country. You fly all over the world. Freaking, 15 plus years in the business. Passive income is definitely a passion of yours, and I'm not sure what it is now, but it's definitely in the 6 figures ish, right?
Yeah.
She is absolutely crushing it, not only locally but around the nation. She knows her shit. Faux show. And then we got Tarl Yarber. Everybody knows him. I guess everybody knows him. I feel like everybody knows him because I know him. But anyway, he's the Fixated real estate guy. He's the guy that's done tons of flips. Even before he was in the real estate business, he was kind of in the real estate business. flying around the company, helping asset managers and whatnot, like deal with all of their stuff. He's got 600 deals under his belt, just him. And he founded Fixated on real estate. So if you guys have ever been to Fixated or even talked about it, you can check out his logo if he moves his head. He's also a pretty cool dude. And both of you guys are all overall good people. So thank you for being on and doing this thing. I appreciate it. So just a few housekeeping things. One, there's a Q&A box in there. If you have questions for us, type something in the Q&A box. If you have, you can go in the chat too if you want to put some questions there. But if you really want us to answer something, then go in the Q&A. Keep it appropriate. We're pretty inappropriate people, but don't be a dickhead. And if you are a dickhead, we'll just remove you. We haven't had to do that yet, but hope we never have to do that. At the end of it, we're gonna spend the next, half hour-ish or so getting to know these folks and learn more about real estate. And at the end of this thing, we're gonna bring you guys up, if you're willing, to be one of the panelists and ask us a question. Kind of like coming up to the mic at some seminar. So if you're feeling up to it, we're gonna ask you to come up. We'll have a couple of people from Rain City get in touch with you. You can, we'll chat you or whatever. So anyway, that's about it. Be nice, have fun. This is happy hour, so at least Jennifer and I are drinking White Claw. She's got my favorite flavor. I have her second favorite flavor, and Tarl.
Vodka.
Yeah. Except the watery kind. All right, so this is my favorite question. I actually got it from my good friend Ian Morrell. He uses it actually in interviews a lot, but it's my favorite question because you learn so much about people. So I'm not sure who wants to go first. Jennifer, you can go first. What was your first job?
I cleaned tables at Alfie's Pizza in Arlington, Washington. And I was 16 years old. It was really dirty.
Really
and
dirty.
that's where I got my hatred for ranch. Like, people who dip their pizza in ranch. I had a little incident when I was cleaning tables and I've never gotten over it.
So tell us more. The ranch incident? Everybody loves ranch. Come on. So what happened?
So there's this big, how like people bring their like soccer clubs to pizza restaurants after soccer. So there was like this whole soccer team that was in the back room, and they had all these little, ranch things everywhere, whatever. And so I had to go clean up after this soccer team pizza party. So I threw all of the ranch in this big black plastic bag. And it was kind of heavy, right? So I like underestimated my ability to carry this giant bag of garbage. And anyway, so yeah, ranch like basically dripped like down the side of my leg, all down the restaurant because there was a hole in it. So I had to clean that all up all night. And I've hated ranch ever since.
I thought it was going to be like, I don't know. I thought there was going to be something so much different or graphic. You spilled ranch all over the place and how you hate it? Like,
yeah, it's disgusting.
It's so good. I love it.
It's like all over the floor. So anyways, yeah, people who eat ranch with pizza and French fries is just disgusting.
Damn. You've never had the Tipsy Cow ranch because that stuff's amazing. All right, Tarl. What's your favorite job?
Favorite job?
Well, not favorite job. Your first job, but potentially your favorite job.
The first job. So first income producing activity was babysitting, and then but my first real like W-2 was New York Bagel Cafe in Rancho Cordova, and where I worked at the bagel shop, and so did that, and that's when I learned that like taxes suck, because my first paycheck, like I had to walk there all the time, right? And I was like, I'm gonna buy a bike, like or something, because I was 15. I'm gonna buy a bike so I can ride here, and I'll do that with my first paycheck because obviously there'll be a bunch of money and stuff. And I thought I'd get like $200 or something like that from my first paycheck, and it was like 110 because it all got taken out from taxes and shit. And I'm like, what the blank? And like I remember having to spend my entire paycheck on a bike, and I was like, this sucks. I got to work another 2 weeks. Like, and I just bought this bike to get to work. This sucks. Like, anyways, so like, So that was a good lesson for me. And I still feel angry like about that situation back then. But anyways,
Dude, I had that exact same situation. Godfather's Pizza. Like I'm doing the math. Minimum wage. I'm making $3.75 an hour, and I'm like, dude, I worked like so many hours. I'm about to get like $300. My paycheck was like $98. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I can't even pay for gas. What the heck? Oh, my parents made me pay for my own insurance. God, that sucks. That made me. I was like, I gotta find a new job. I start selling something. That's awesome. Okay. I think there's kind of a lot of hot topics. When we first started doing this, and there's been a lot of ups and down waves of craziness and whatnot. I think right now there's just a lot going on with tenants. If you're a real estate investor and you have tenants, there's just so many questions, especially in Seattle, right? And Jennifer, you do stuff kind of all over the nation. Like what's kind of the general thing of what's going on? I mean, I know for me, I have 8 rentals and I have 2 people that aren't paying me.
Wow.
What's some of the, like, I guess things that are happening, not only locally but just around the country that you guys are experiencing just around rentals in general?
Yeah, so fortunately, we've had really good luck with rent collection. April was a little worse than May. So April, we had some late pays, and I think that was mostly because people were trying to get their unemployment insurance. There's massive delays in that. But yeah, so everyone caught up, and then in May, we're doing much better. So, that's over 239 units that I own and manage. All of my friends, my inner circle, the people that I hang out with, everyone owns rental properties. And I have another friend in Seattle, Joe. He's got 85 units. I think maybe he had like 3 non-pays. So everyone that I know is actually doing really well. We all expect that rents are going to stay flat this year. Don't think we're going to do rent increases. I actually had like 3 or 4 planned rent increases that, notices already went out in February. And I went to the tenants and I said, hey, let's just leave it where it's at. So we did not, increase the rents on those. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, I think it's doing really, really well. Most people that I talk to are doing really well. The couple people that have had rent collection issues, they're mostly like C-class in really rough, really tough markets. We're talking like Cleveland, Memphis, Birmingham, areas that frankly I stay out of.
Chicago.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, fortunately, knock on wood, I mean, we're doing really well as far as rent collection goes. But again, I think it's because we invested in the right assets in the right areas.
That's great to hear. That's awesome. Tarl, what about you? How's your stuff working out so well?
We are 100% collected, and we have been since this started. And there's typically, and the thing is that we've had 2, we don't have 300 units. We have, I think 22 or 23 or something like that. And they're all single families. And they were all BRRRRs, like buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. But, and all of them are A level for their neighborhood. So for whatever that means. And so we've only, and historically out of those tenants, there's always been like 1 that's always late, and that didn't change. So like I think he took like 2 extra more days. But that's, we kind of always expected that dude, and he always pays late fees, but this time we just didn't charge him because we weren't allowed to. So, but outside of that, as far as, we did a webinar yesterday with our group with Kathy Fetke and another guy named Rick Sharga. They have a ton of data on this stuff, and they said the exact same thing. So Kathy represents, they have tons and tons of investors in their database, and across the board, like it seemed like we all projected that this was going to be way worse for landlords. And then now it's coming back showing that it's actually not anywhere near as bad, nowhere near what we projected that it would actually be. Because a lot of data that was collected on our tenants paying rent, there's a whole article that said like 30% of people didn't pay rent or whatever, right? Well, that data was collected like within the first 4 days of April, when most people, a lot of people don't pay the 5th day anyways. So like, and now they've redacted that and came back that said, well, actually about like, 85 to 90% of people have actually paid rent so far. Like, so it's, but that article didn't come out, of course. So it's all of that happening, but I can't imagine though, if this continues to go on with lockdown, sooner or later, it will eventually trickle down to affect us. And absolutely. I mean, it can't not affect people, because the vast majority that are getting laid off are people that are, wage earners, hourly wage earners, and most of them are renters. So sooner or later that'll affect everybody.
Yeah, for sure. I'm jealous. Why do I get 2 out of, and I have the least amount of views between all you guys? Whatever. I'll gripe about that some other time. So, are you guys looking and at acquiring properties right now? If so, where and what type of assets are you looking for?
Yeah, so I've made several offers in the last couple of weeks. And it's really interesting. In the last week, I feel like, I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden, everyone started getting back into buying mode. So I'm a little disappointed because for the last couple of weeks, I've had no competition. And something happened, everyone's back in buying mode, and that kind of sucks. But yeah, so I'm looking at more stabilized B-class assets. I love Spokane. I love Tennessee. I love Texas. Basically, I like the landlord-friendly areas where they don't have hashtag rent strike going on.
All over the place, yeah.
Yeah, commercial financing, it got a little squirrely there for a little bit. A lot of commercial, like US Bank, Wells Fargo, a lot of the guys that were doing the non-agency stuff, they stopped. So that was tough. But yeah, the small kind of local banks, they're still lending. So yeah, I'm still looking at more like stabilized B-class assets, multifamily. While, people aren't as aggressive right now. So that's where I'm looking.
What about you, Tarl? Are you looking?
I like non-income tax states.
Yeah.
That's helpful.
Yeah, we are. So we actually haven't stopped looking, but we just kind of started. We did buy a property the other week, and we have another one in escrow right now. And then, and we have a couple that we wholesale, that we decided that we're wholesaling out just because they were bigger projects or commercial. And we were like, fuck it. So we just wholesaling those. But besides that, yeah, we're still doing it. And we changed our strategy a little bit as far as, I want a little bit more buffer as far as properties go. But that's also because of where our lifestyle is right now too. So we were already making a transition to not buy as much as we normally would because we're having a baby and we got our P&W Expo later this year too. So we kind of start to go down a little bit and then go back up again. But so nothing's really.
Got it. So, I mean, would you tell and advise people like, hey, you should buy a rental? Like you feel like it's, things are going to last for a while? Or you're saying, hey, be cautious a little bit?
I think people should always be cautious, right? So I've been a big fan, Fred, you know this about me, of buying for cash flow, right? Not banking on appreciation, because you and I, and Tarl, I know you too, when you get started, when the market's really bad, I feel like I still have some battle scars from 2009, 2010. And so my criteria really hasn't changed much since the last recession. But yeah, I think this is a phenomenal time to get started with investing, provided that you focus on good debt coverage ratio, good cash flowing properties. I think for anyone that is maybe a beginner investor, everyone should start with a house hack. If you can, look, we all have to live somewhere, but if you can buy into a property for minimal down, FHA's 3.5% down, 5% down on the conventional side, and you can pull some income from that property and have your mortgage supplemented either by tenants or do a live-in flip, I think you guys are going to do really well. Somebody had asked in the chat what interest rates are right now, and we're doing a cash out refinance on a property in Tennessee, and we're looking at the low 4s on a cash out refinance. I think primary residence right now, you're depending on if you go 15, 20, 30 year or whatever, guys, it's going to be in the maybe high 2s to low 3s. So I think this is a phenomenal time to buy, but also you guys need to focus on the long term. We travel, and all three of us travel the world, and I feel like in America, we're so short term thinking. Everything is about instant gratification. Everything is about how is this going to benefit me in the short term? But most of the other countries in Europe and Asia, they all think long term, right? And so I think if you guys are looking at the long term for buy and hold investing, you're going to do really well buying now, even if prices go down. because it's super low interest rates. There's not a whole lot of competition right now. It's going to be more renters. We're turning into a renter population. So yeah, I'm a big fan of buying, provided that you focus on the strategy that makes sense for you.
Tarl?
I would say that, like, so I'll just say two sides, right? One is, first off, none of us know anything, right? I just want to throw that out there. And, but then
what are you
again,
talking about? I know my name.
all right. But then again, none of us knew anything even before this too, right? So like everything we do in real estate or any kind of investment that we do, even, I invest in stocks. Actually, when the market down, I put a bunch of money in some stocks, but in certain ones. But even then, it's like we even before this whole COVID stuff, everything about investing is mitigating risk, and measuring, basically protecting as much as you can on your downside. No matter what, like we've always done that. What's happened now is maybe we've changed some of our indicators that we're looking for, some economic factors that we're watching a little bit more closely. But we were doing that prior to all this too, right? And maybe not as like intently as we are now. And especially specifically certain ones, I never really paid attention to unemployment too much like I'm doing now. But that's because of the nature of most of where I've invested is here in Washington. So, but that said, as far as buying right now, all this can change like tomorrow, by the way, right? I just want to throw that out there.
Everybody has a vaccine and it's foolproof, and then all of a sudden the world's back to normal again, right?
Yeah, or it's all not, right? If, for instance, unemployment stays as high as it's going, right? And as high as it is right now, and people don't go back to work, right? It's not a V recovery, or it's not a check mark, or it's not whatever, right? It doesn't pick back up. You can't have 30 million plus unemployed people over a period of time and have it not affect real estate in some capacity. That said, though, most of those people, not all, but a lot of people and stuff are renters. So would it be a good time to be a landlord? I think that right now it's kind of sucks. It's kind of uncertain to be a landlord, but I know that it's going to be a lot of opportunity for landlords specifically after this, because there's going to be a lot of people that have to rent because maybe they sold their house, or maybe whatever, or they're getting their jobs back, or they have to reduce their income, or they have to do something. And renting is going to be more popular right now than buying a house. Supply and demand is a huge, huge contributor to pricing in real estate. There's still not any supply that's out there, right? And now with rates being as low as they are, there's still huge demand for people to buy. I think the markets that are going to hurt the most are the higher priced ones that have like the jumbo loan side. We haven't talked about that, but talked about that before, where jumbo loans might be a little bit challenging. At least it is today. It might change tomorrow. Who knows? But I know, for instance, that anything that's like 1.5 million or whatever is kind of hurting right now in certain markets because of the jumbo size. But so I think that the market right now, I think we're going to be good. I'm happy that we're flipping houses. Our houses are still selling pretty fast and well over asking for whatever we put on the market. And I'm excited about that because interest rates are super low. Buyer demand is still high. Sellers aren't selling, right? Because you don't have to sell your house right now. Most people don't. So if you're uncertain about the economy, do you sell your house? And a lot of people don't. A lot of people go like, screw it, I'm just going to stay, which then decreases supply when demand is still high, right? So there's that. And then if inflation becomes an issue, that's actually good for real estate. So, and the values of real estate too. But,
yeah, for sure.
So across everything I just rambled on about says that real estate seems pretty good to me, right? But
be cautious
and tomorrow. Who knows?
Yeah.
I will say this though: the longer this
all go shit tomorrow.
Well, yeah, the longer this stays an issue, like sooner or later, it will affect us, right? And it just will. I don't think it's going to happen this year, and at all. I don't think it can happen this year. I don't think the administration will let it happen this year. If something happens, whatever that is,
yep,
I think it'll be okay.
I can say that it's been like the most surprising thing out of all of this. I totally underestimated the fact that there would still be buyers out there buying homes. And, when you see active home listings coming on the market and you see damn near double that in the 7-day period being pending or sold, you're like, holy shit, like there's not going to be houses to buy in a month. It's crazy. It's craziness. How long will that last? Who knows? I really think and this might actually be an interesting question for you guys, but how much of the phenomenon of, people that are living in apartments in downtown Seattle or downtown Bellevue or whatnot and saying like, and they have a kid, and they usually go to, like, kids go to daycare and they go to work, and now they're all stuck at home and they work for Amazon or whatever. Like, how much of an effect does the pandemic have on those people that are just going out and urban sprawling and going to buy these homes? Do you think that has, like, or how much of an effect do you think that has in the real estate market right now?
If I had to guess, like, and I don't really understand the question, so I'm going to guess what your question is. But is
Hold
it?
on.
Are you saying like people that live like in apartments right now?
People
and
that live in
everybody's staying home?
apartments that work
Okay.
at Amazon in downtown Seattle. Amazon is
Get your
closed.
home.
Yeah, exactly. Amazon is closed till October, and they live in a 1,000 square foot condo that they have for $1 million or whatever,
Yeah.
and they're like, I can't take it anymore. I gotta go. Like, what? How much of an effect is that phenomenon? Putting pressure or raising the buyer pool.
I think it could. I think that it's. I don't know if it's. I have zero data, so all this stuff is going to come out of my ass like right now. So it's all
Turn around.
speculation. I have no data for what I'm about to say, right, at all. So, but if I had to guess,
I'm asking for opinions. We're not asking for data. Come on.
My opinion right now is that, like, I don't know if there's that many people that it's going to affect our market, but then again, if there's not that many houses, then great. So those will sell.
I mean, I think right now is like the chance for a lot of buyers that were getting tired of getting outbid. So I think it's all the buyers that, late last year and early this year just compete. And so now they're like, global pandemic, everyone's staying inside. All right, now's my chance. Plus, I mean, the interest rates are super low. So,
Yep.
and then, Fred, I mean, you could be onto something. People stuck in this teeny tiny apartment with 2 kids and pets.
They're like,
out to the suburbs.
I gotta go.
All those people need to go to West Seattle, North Admiral specifically. I have a house there on the market right now.
Go buy
Tarl's
house.
Selling. So, and I think because of the West Seattle Bridge, but whatever.
Yeah.
So I was talking.
Okay.
I visited a broker friend of mine today, and he handed me this little marketing flyer, and it actually said like chicken run. And he's like, this is the only time in my 10-year career that I've ever put like chicken run on the marketing remarks. And I'm like, hey, brilliant. And this house is a house in Bothell, like huge garden and everything. And so, yeah.
You can put your chickens there too.
It used to be not a short sale. Now it's all about the chicken run. Tarl, you got to get in on this. I'm telling you. Chickens are where it's at.
No.
Fred's in.
Yeah. So for everybody, Jennifer, I asked her, well, she got chickens. She has chickens now. And my wife has been bugging me for chickens for years. And on Mother's Day, I caved. I was like, oh, dude, we're home anyway. I live on over an acre. It's going to be fine. Let's just get some chickens. So we don't have them yet, but I will post a picture when I do. So we kind of got off on a tangent a little bit. One of the questions that we got, and one of the questions that I get repeatedly is, what's up with the BRRRR strategy? Is it dead? Can people still get cash out refinances? Jennifer, I heard you say that you are working on a cash out refinance now. I'm doing rate term refinance on a couple of my houses now. So, what is the BRRRR strategy dead, or like, is it alive? What's going on?
No, so it's alive, but I mean, these hard money lenders, they kind of pulled back. And so, yeah, I mean, it kind of sucks for the investors that wanted to do rate and term refis, for BRRRR deals. Cause now, I mean, I just helped an investor get in with another private lender because nobody wanted to do his BRRRR in Oklahoma. And so I lined up, a baby boomer that's got a lot of cash with a retail business that's been shut down for 60 days. And they're now a private lender because these big hard money lender companies don't want to do it. So, but yeah, absolutely. Rate and term refinances are still a thing. Cash out refis are still a thing, at least for the 1 to 4 unit space. The commercial side, it's a little squirrely. It's gonna really depend on relationships, debt coverage ratio. That's a little tougher. But hopefully we can get these big hard money lender companies to
start playing.
Nobody's buying their loans, so But I would say though, like, even though that, the key to BRRRR, like buy, rehab, refinance, repeat, is with specifically in single family is can you get your capital out, right? That's the end of the day. And even though there's still cash out refis out there, they're getting harder. Some banks aren't doing them, and they're getting more expensive. And so it's ultimately, a lot of people are starting to quote their, they're looking at their back out, like in their back end, as far as like what they're going to take out of the back end of the deal. And a lot of people are thinking they're just going to get all their money back, but then the banks are coming back saying, yeah, it's going to cost you a ton of money, or you don't qualify, or your debt service ratio isn't strong enough, or we're not going to count this rent. We're going to look at just your income. Like there's depending on the bank, the portfolio lender you're dealing with, it's different. Where it used to be a little bit more uniformity. Now it's kind of like you just got to go shop around a lot until you find the right bank that might work with you. But I think what it's going to do is cause a lot of investors to go back to having to pay to play, because I think we've been pretty spoiled over the last couple of years with lending and how easy it's been. Like it's been, the deals have been hard, lending's been easy, right? Money's been easy. Fred's had more competition than he knows what to deal with, and now he's just like, cool, no competition. Now he can charge shark-like rates again and be good to go.
Oh man, I tell you what, that's like the one silver lining that I got out of this.
Yeah.
So plug for later. We're having two like investor friendly mortgage folks come join us next week. Going to talk a lot about this topic. And I'm super excited about it because this is kind of where I nerd out. I've been in the mortgage business for a long time. And just a little plug for Rain City. We've been doing cash as collateral loans forever, for more than a decade. And that makes it so you don't have to do a cash out refi. You get your cash back. You don't get any more cash back. You're capped over $2,000 more than what you put into it, but give or take, we still do it, and we do it regularly, and bada bing, bada boom.
Did it for me, Fred Rea.
I did. I
Couple
wish I
times.
could do it for me. I just can't. So, Tarl, I want to know the answer to this. I've been a fan of the Badass. I was actually really jealous that you ended up doing it before I did. What do you call it now? The PNW? Did you lose the Badass part of it?
Badass Real Estate Wealth Expo.
One more time, real fast.
Badass Real Estate Wealth Expo.
So obviously, like, shit is weird right now, and I've been a giant supporter of Badass since day one.
Yep.
I think it's great. It's something that the real estate market needed here. What's happened? Are you still doing it? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, for those of you guys that don't know, pnwrealestateexpo.com is what you can check that out. And we started it back in 2017, and it was it was an expo / conference for real estate investors specifically. And we got 28 tables and vendors there, and then I think we had like 25 or 26 speakers and panelists and presentations and stuff. And I did it all within like a 60-day window, and because nobody else was doing any conferences, so I'm like, screw it, let's make our own. And we had 510 people there, and it was the worst day, leading up to it. The worst 60 days of my entire life was leading up to that conference because it was such a pain in the ass to make. And I swore I would never do it again. And then we did it again the next year. And so now we've done it this is our 4th year. And this year was supposed to be the easiest year because we have all our systems, all our processes lined out. I've hired everything out. I'm like, cool, I'm going to be like chilling, right? And we're going to have 1,500 people or whatever at this thing. And then the world had to do what it did and ruin my life. So it's all about me. So joking aside, it does suck, right? But at the same time, we did have it scheduled originally for July. We just postponed it to August. And whether that's soon enough or not, as far as any legal stuff that goes on with the state of Washington, I don't know, right? We're making a gamble on it. So we make it a hybrid event now. So we will have about 50 different panelist presentations. Also, last year we had 49 separate presentations, and over a 3-day period. It was insane. We raised $230,000 for charity. And it's a huge networking component, which is one of the best things about it. 71 vendor sponsors. This year we were on track to almost double everything. And so for now, we're going to scale back a little bit, make more quality over quantity, because some people might get scared of 1,500 people in a room. I don't know why, but whatever. And so so that said, we are selling in-person tickets August 6th, 7th through 8th. And we also are selling virtual only tickets. So it is a hybrid event. If we're legally allowed to host it, we're hosting it, right? And it's so if you buy your ticket to go and it ends up being like last minute, the state of Washington's like blank off, you're not doing it, then it converts to a virtual only. You get refunded the difference and stuff. So, but we're doing it no matter what, 6th, 7th through the 8th, like on the 8th, like period. So I don't care.
Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah. But chances are though, like we're going to be able to do it in some capacity. Even if I'm only allowed to have 500 people and stuff like that, then we're still doing it. Like if they allow 400 people, we're probably going to still do it. If they allow 300 people, I'm not doing it. We're doing virtual only at that point. So it's not worth it financially to then spend $120,000 on the venue and have that be the case. But check it out. You guys be surprised.
That's great to hear. You know what? There's one thing about entrepreneurs. We're innovators, right? Like we make shit happen. So cheers to you, and I hope it freaking goes well. And I'll be there, virtual or in person.
Even on the virtual side, like the biggest issue is networking. Like it's hard. Like even right now, you got 56 of us on here. It's hard for when you have a Zoom, there's one conversation going on, right? When you're at a table, a conference room, or whatever, you can have 1,000 conversations going on.
Like, oh, hey, how's it going? Oh, hey, how's it going?
You can't like shut up. I'm trying to talk. But so how do we're duplicating as best of environment as that at our expo to get that networking component to it. So it's not going to be a bunch of just this. And just as a give you fair warning to everybody, we've invested a bunch of tech to help that experience. It's still virtual, right? So we still encourage people to be the in-person and take the chance, but we're going to do our best to make the networking component be better than what other people have done for sure.
Got it. Okay. So, dude, I'm excited. I hope you crush it. I know you will. I believe in you. I believe in Tarl Yarber. Okay. So, we got a few questions in the Q&A box. We got 10 minutes or so to ask a couple more questions. The question that, I have a bunch more stuff, but I think that we got enough in the chat box. Hopefully, anybody that put in a Q&A in the chat box, hopefully someone has reached out to you, either Madeline or Jeff. And we'd love to bring you up here and ask us in person. So we'll try to get through some of those. But the one question that I would ask you guys just in general, I mean, if you're rubbing your crystal ball, which I know it's a stretch because it's a crystal ball. If you're rubbing your crystal ball, what are the opportunities going to be like or where are the opportunities going to be in the next 6 to 12 months? And, what do you think the market's going to be like in the next 6 to 12 months? Jennifer, you go.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about this earlier, right, Fred? Man, there's so many opportunities. I mean, I could just go on and on about this. I think that there's going to be some great opportunities in real estate. I think that we're seeing a lot of tired landlords that are wanting to get out now. So we're seeing some good product come on. So that's really exciting for whoever has the courage to invest during this global pandemic and the capital to do so, right? It takes capital. So I think that that's going to be a great opportunity to kind of go after, some of those tired landlord stuff in markets that would otherwise be too expensive. So it's interesting, because I'm in a lot of different markets and I'm really paying attention to, I'm not really seeing list prices come down, but I'm seeing sellers be more negotiable. So like at a 14 unit in Spokane, they listed it for 1.2. Last year, it probably would have gotten multiple offers. I offered 950 and we kind of got to a point where we were talking about $1 million. So that's pretty cool to see, these opportunities come up where again, you have no competition and the sellers are negotiable. And then of course, you get 4% interest rate. If you can find a local bank, that'll take this on. A lot of the commercial lenders, they're wanting experience right now. So I think that there's some possibilities to like partner up for maybe wholesalers, especially if anyone wants to do wholesaling for like apartments or multifamily. Find those deals, call me up because either me or my investor friends will buy them. So I think there's huge opportunity for wholesalers if you guys go after multifamily. I think that there's going to be some interesting shakeout in the commercial space, right? I mean, we're going to see strip malls, retail centers, probably a lot of bankruptcies. I mean, J. Crew, JCPenney, who's filed bankruptcy in the last week? I mean, we're seeing like the retail business. I mean, it was dying before all this, right? So any business that was suffering pre-COVID-19, I think they're just going to get crushed. So that leaves opportunities for distressed commercial notes, distressed debt, potentially buying some of these retail centers, strip malls, repurposing them. I think that there's a lot of options there.
What do you do with them? You just put like tax places in there or something?
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be really interesting. I think like a pop-up restaurant model or like a pop-up boutique store would be really interesting. I think with tech, we're gonna see, I don't know, we might see like regional hubs as opposed to like having a big Amazon in downtown Seattle. Maybe they'll have smaller regional hubs in other areas in some of these strip malls. Maybe we'll see some of them be repurposed into self-storage. I don't know. I mean, I think we're just going to have to see, you know, what happens over the next couple of months. But I think the biggest thing is I think people need to be preparing themselves for this opportunity, right? So, you know, getting that war chest of cash built up. If you have the opportunity, if you have properties where you have equity, maybe it's time to do a cash out refinance or a rate and term and reduce your debt coverage rate or reduce your debt to income ratio, get some cash out, start building relationships for potential partners, start looking in markets that you would have otherwise thought were too expensive. But I think there's going to be just so many opportunities. I mean, anyone that's like in the software tech space, Fred, you know, I was telling you, I could see us going to a VR model for sporting events. I mean, the likelihood that we're going to go pack tens of thousands, I don't see your season ticket, Fred. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think these sport team billionaires are brilliant, but the likelihood that in 2020 that we're going to see packed stadiums, I don't know. But man, if you could buy a $200 VR headset on Amazon and watch games with your friend and have a VR experience from the comfort of your own home or your home theater via Fred Rea, I don't know.
Dude, that sounds horrible. So when's the opportunities come? Is it 6 months, 12 months, 18 months? What's the time period for some of this stuff? Like, you know, how long do I have to save up my war chest?
So if I had the answers to those questions, I would not be on this call tonight. I'd be on my private island in the Bahamas in like self-quarantine on my...
Just call you Richard Branson. Okay, got it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that there's things that we can all pay attention to and kind of find some patterns. So that'll be my hint. I don't know. I'm just kind of, I have some metrics that I'm paying attention and watching out for right now.
Good deal. What about you, Tarl? What do you think is going to happen? Do you think we're all going to explode? Or do you think it's all going to be over in 6 months?
I don't trust people for it to be over 6 months. So there's too much. I mean, people right now have made their choices already, right? So they, in my opinion, like people are looking for to prove themselves right versus being correct. So, anyways, besides the point. So that's it. So because of that, yeah, I'm not gonna do that right now. So I think that as far as a real estate economy is considered, there's no real, like Kathy Fecky says it all the time. There's no real estate economy. Like every market's different. Every place is different, right? So there's no global real estate market. So as far as how it affects and so forth right now, I think that it's interesting. One of the concepts I heard from is that like Twitter or whatever basically has told everybody, you never have to come back to work again if you don't want to. You can literally work from home forever, like if you want to. So that might affect the commercial real estate space a little bit. So there's probably going to be some opportunities there. We had a buddy of mine, AJ Osborne, awesome dude, does a huge amount of commercial business. And he was just like, he hasn't bought a whole lot of properties the last 2 years because they've been really messed up cap rates and hard to find and tons of competition. So he's just been managing his own portfolio. And then he's just like, I think I'm going to increase my portfolio by over 50% over the next 2 years, right? And in commercial space. So, because he's gearing up, he's raising capital like crazy to do that. I think there'll be opportunity in the notes, like in default notes. I think you can't have as many unemployment as we have without affecting defaults in some capacity. And with what's going on in that department, I think there's going to be opportunity there. And I think that's going to happen over the next 6 to 12 months. I think more 12 months out, we'll start seeing more of that start to pop up. Right now, there's going to be enough support, delays, forbearances, things like that, that are going to like not create all these defaulted non-performing notes on paper. And then when they start coming due and when people can't start paying them and they're still not getting back to work, then those are going to start coming in. And we'll start seeing REO pick back up, and we'll start seeing defaults pick back up in the note space. I don't think it'll be like 2008 8,
They let
9,
people
that kind of
foreclose.
stuff. Yeah. So yeah, they might be illegal to foreclose on. Who knows? So, but I do know that it's going to be more than what it's been for sure. So like a lot more than what it's been. And then it's going to be harder to get financing potentially as an investor unless Fred gets more competition. So, and I hope as a friend of Fred that he doesn't, right? And, and for me, I don't really care. We haven't used hard money in a long time other than, we did borrow from you 45
That one deal.
on that one deal because all my
On that
private
one
money
deal.
was just like, yeah. Hey, by the way, private money is great. We have a ton of private money lenders, and everybody freaked out for about a 3-week window right when we were buying a house, right? And they're all like, can we wait just a little bit? Do we have to close on this one right now? And I'm like, yes, we have to close. And then literally we close on this deal, and Fred bails us out. And then like 4 days later, I kid you not, on the same day, it's like they all got together. All my private money lenders are like, hey, we'll start lending again. We love you to death. We're back in the game. Like, where were you last fucking week? Sorry, but besides the point. Fred was
See,
there.
that's why you go with the professionals, man.
Fred was there.
Yes.
So
The knight
it's good to
in
have
shining
relationships
armor.
like that.
It was
Yeah.
like, the one of like the 18 loans that we did during that month, which is a fraction of what we normally do.
No, I kid you
But
not.
hey.
Like, real quick, I'm friends with all of Fred's competition, like pretty much all of them, right? I like Fred the best, right? And so I'm sitting there calling up people are talking. My friends are calling me, and they're like, "We're not lending. We're not lending. We're not lending." I'm like, I'm not even asking them for money. I'm like, which one of my? It's okay. I got lots of friends that can lend me money to buy this property and stuff. And then I'm like, where the hell are they right now? Like, they're not there. And then all of a sudden, Fred's like, I got you. 18 points. We're good.
I gave you the COVID discount.
You did.
Okay, so this is one real quick question, and then we'll get to some of the Q&A from some of these folks. I'm not sure if we have any takers that want to come up yet, but we'll see. If not, we can just kind of roll through some of these things. Real quick, 1-minute question. I know you guys are talkers. What's the strangest thing that's happened to you in the last 65 days? Strangest thing.
The strangest thing that's ever happened to us in the what?
Those cut out.
The strangest thing that's happened to you in the last 60 to 75 days. Sorry, can you hear me?
I've had some very intelligent people share some conspiracy theories that were just batshit crazy.
Oh, like the Bill Gates one? Where like Bill Gates is behind everything?
No, this was like Tom Cruise and Oprah were like stealing children and had some like underground something going on. And so on April 1st, the grid was gonna go down, and they were gonna arrest all these celebrities. I'm a very intelligent person, and that was super weird.
How funny would it be if that's actually going on?
Dude, if that was actually going on, that'd be awesome. But the grid didn't go down, so it's kind of come and gone there.
Must be.
What about you, Tarl? You got any like weird, strange things going?
Yeah, the weirdest thing that happened to me in the last 60 days is that the world shut down. Right, so that's the. Like,
okay, we're going like aside from that.
Oh yeah, that. All right. Dude, I can't. There's so much stupid shit going on that like it's. I can't think of it. I think what the more impressive part is that like it's not so much weird. It's more I love human psychology. Like I really enjoy watching how people react to things and like seeing why they act how they act and stuff. And I just think that it was very fascinating to see how many friends I have that are experts on social media about so many topics. And that's the part that like has always been like, I'm like, wow, you really are sure of yourself on a lot of stuff. And I was surprised by like, just like what Jennifer just said about very intelligent people having the most awkward conspiracy theories ever. Not that there isn't like true weird stuff going on out there. Of course there is, but when you're so sure, like completely really willing to put it on social media, you're like, man, when that's not true, what are you going to say? But I don't know. That's not the best thing, but whatever. The whole world's crazy right now.
Yeah, for me, the bigger the chasm gets between people, between like the people that thinks it's like a complete hoax and the people that will never leave their homes again, and like and shame people that leave their homes. It's like the larger that divide gets. My hands are on the other side of the video right now. The more effed we are. That's my like indicator. You know, as I look at social media and people are just dividing significantly, I'm like, okay, here we go.
Yep.
I could be totally wrong. This is like no data behind it. It's just my feeling, but holy crap. Gosh. Well, we'll see what happens. Only time will tell, right? And hopefully we're on the other side crushing it, making stuff happen. Oh, my other crazy thing that's happened to me, because people make fun of me for it regularly, and it is actually kind of funny. So obviously I sit in my house all day, and I have this lovely window that I get to look outside. And I have 2 crows that they come to my house every day, and they're picking worms out of my yard and hanging out. And they're my chromies.
That's weird, Fred.
Oh, that's
And and they're named Billy and Sue.
Billy and Sue.
To,
Billy Sue.
kids and wives and yeah, whatever. Okay, so we got to take her. We got to take her. We got Steve. Steve is gonna come and ask us a question. I have no idea what he's asking because I don't know where it is in the chat box. So
Make sure you're dressed, Steve.
yeah, let's get dressed. If can we
pants
bring
on?
Steve up? Can we try to? He said he's gonna might have some technical difficulties, but we'll see.
Everybody get your screenshot ready. Yeah.
Ah, yes. Maybe it's audio. Yeah, we can't hear you, bro. 1, 2, 3, go. Can you sign language? Oh, dang it. Well, yeah, unplug it. Unplug your headset. See what happens.
Should we guess what he's trying to say?
He's saying, dang it all.
Fred, you were weird for your crows.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
So disappointed in you.
All right, go on.
The chromies happened. So Steve's question was, I just got into a fix and flip with my brother, and we now have 4 properties to rehab. 3 of the properties are in Portland, Oregon, and 1 is in Phoenix, Arizona. The political climate in Washington scares me away from doing anything up in the Seattle-Tacoma area. What are your thoughts on Seattle and Tacoma?
How does the Portland political market not scare you?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking.
Like,
yeah,
that doesn't make any sense to me at all. So.
Poor guy can't defend himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that aside from just like the city of Seattle, I agree with you, Tarl. Portland is by far more liberal than, I mean, shit, just try to get licensed as a mortgage originator in Oregon. It's brutal. But anyway.
Try to drive your car in the streets of Portland. You can't. There's a big ass bike lane right in the dead center of the entire road. Like, there's no car lane. Like,
try to pump your own gas.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
So what do you guys think? What do you guys think about Seattle? Is it a good place? What about you think about Tacoma?
You don't want my opinion. Go ahead, Tarl.
I think I love Tacoma. I invest in Tacoma all the time. I shouldn't have said that. You should never invest in Tacoma. But the truth is, when it comes to Seattle, I mean, if you're talking about landlord laws, that kind of stuff, then yeah, I mean, there's some crazy ass landlord laws out there that are an issue. If you're talking about like flips and stuff, that doesn't really affect you. And when you're going to go on the resale market and anything like that, or retail market to flip your property, I think it's a great market. I think it's better than Portland for that stuff, depending on where you're at. But if you're, especially even on Tacoma side and stuff too, both are, I mean, they're very similar markets. I used to do a lot of business down in Portland. We've done quite a few houses down in the Portland area in Oregon. But that said, so very similar markets, very similar contractor issues, very similar, all that kind of stuff.
Except for Oregon has rent control over the entire state.
Yeah. So Seattle doesn't. So Washington doesn't. They want it, but they don't. So, and even if you know the land, just like here's a good friend of mine, Steve Rosenberg, he talks about how like there is the amount of landlord laws that are out there are geared towards basically protecting tenants from really horrible landlords, technically. And also most of the tenants that use those landlord laws against you are typically horrible tenants that you probably should have never rented out to in the first place. So most people are good people that want to pay their rent, do their stuff and everything like that, and just do a really good job at screening your tenants. And it's the same thing. Like most people want to pay the rent. Most people want to live where they're living, and they don't want to have any legal issues or financial issues clouding them and following them around, as long as you got good tenants and don't invest in D-class properties that you leave a D-class with tenants in it. So if you don't want to have a whole bunch of headaches, that's despite being in Seattle or not. But yeah, everybody here, trust me, Seattle, all their laws, they're all crazy ass people. So there's no joke there at all. It was dead serious. But
Oh man, yeah, I'd stayed away from Seattle a long time ago. But yeah, I don't know. We do a lot of business in Portland. We have a big portfolio in Portland. I love Portland in general. But I mean, if between the climates, I would say that Oregon is way more liberal just as a place than it is than Washington. And I think a lot of investors there. So might have it backwards. Anyway, Steve, thanks for coming up. Even if we couldn't hear you, I wish you knew sign language so we could, whatever. We got Donovan. Donovan's up next. I know. Ryan's on here.
Portland.
I know he's calling us Portland haters right now. Donovan, are we bringing up Donovan? Let's see what's. Hopefully we don't have too many difficulties with Donovan. Let's see where his question is while he is coming up here. 1, 2.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Who's it?
Yeah,
Donovan?
Yeah, it's Donovan.
we can't see you, man.
Let me see. I did a weird crash and then restart thing, I guess, when it permitted me to be on camera. So give me 1 second here.
What's your question?
Hey.
There he is. Boom.
So yeah, this has been really educational. Thanks for putting this on today. There were a couple things I responded to. One of them that is more just kind of like, hey, this is worth mentioning is they removed 401k restrictions through the end of the year for anyone facing anything COVID related. And I had previously been unable to access that for real estate because I was no longer working for the employer that I did all the 401k for. So that was when you were talking about war chest options, that was one that sprung to mind as worth repeating and see if you had any thoughts on that. But I know touching retirement isn't for everybody.
Yeah, depends on how much time you got. So. Jennifer, you know much about that stuff?
Yeah, I looked into that. I feel like there was some red tape where you had to put the money back within a certain period of time. But, to be honest, I didn't research it that much. But, the self-directed 401k, so I set one up for myself in Fred, reload with it. So I set mine up in 2012, mostly to save taxes back then. But I use that to do private lending. I use that. I've got some in like a syndication type deal. But yeah, I think that's a phenomenal option, Donovan. I think that's a great option to consider. But just, look at all the red tape. I think there's a lot of stuff the government's doing right now that sounds really good. And then when you start kind of like the PPP, right? I mean, there's some kind of red tape going on there and the EIDL and all that stuff. So I think it's a great option, but definitely do your research. Make sure that you know what you're getting into. And
Sure.
the other thing I might mention too, so if you've quit an employer,
That's what I was going to say.
401k, you can roll that over to your own self-directed 401k. So you can actually, that's the one event when you can take those funds and put it into self-directed. You've got to meet, again, there's some red tape with all this stuff. Fred, maybe you have a comment on that, but I'm so glad that you brought that up because it's a brilliant strategy. I mean, there's billions of dollars tied up in retirement funds. And if people can take control back of that while following the rules, then I think it's a great thing.
Yeah, I use my 401k for all sorts of stuff. I can't invest in my own business, so I invest and make loans out of it and everything else. And, not a CPA or whoever the hell would advise you on doing something like this. So we'll put Tarl's not, Jennifer's not, we're all just knuckleheads trying to do business. But we, for me, just in particular, I've been plowing money into my 401k forever. I do all Roth contributions because I get great returns on it. But I know if you quit or if you're no longer employed, you can roll that over into a self-directed 401k, a solo 401k or whatever you want to call it. And then you have access to all the money. Now, you can't commingle it. You can't, there's some rules around that you really have to kind of get dialed in with, but, I would use it for sure if you have it. But also, be conservative with it because that is your retirement, right? Or supposedly.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, thanks. That's all really good points on there. One thought on that is do you know of any time limits on, how long you have to, is there a window, or is it basically if you've left an employer, that's always an option on the table to move over to a self-directed 401k?
Yeah, I mean, I'll put the qualifier out there. I don't believe that there is a window.
Okay.
Your money is locked in. I think you could have borrowed previous to COVID. You could borrow up to 50 grand, but no greater than 50% of your 401k. And you have to pay it back in 5 years with some sort of interest rate, right? Like that was kind of like the normal.
Yeah.
Do you remember Jennifer? We had a client together that would borrow from his 401k all the time. What was his name? Anyway, but yeah, you can, I mean, it's sitting in your old employer's trust account now. I mean, I have it for Rain City Capital's employees too. When they leave, they can pull it whenever they want. And they can roll it to wherever they want. And there's all sorts of administrators that can manage that stuff for you. For me, I actually have 2 trust accounts that I manage, one for myself, one for my wife. We're both employees of our S Corp. And I have total checkbook control over it. I'm also very rigid into like the rules, and I'd never want, like, I make cross contribution because I never want to be taxed on those ever again.
Right.
But yeah, as far as I know, you totally can.
Okay. The other one is probably just another point we're talking about was when we were talking about all the work from home, a lot of people have been talking about it like, hey, this is the dawn of a new era. There's going to be tons and tons more people working from home. I have no way to quantify if that's really actually going to be a big percentage of the population that changes their habits, or and the corporations that are backing them, I guess, or if this is just a blip and going to move on. But let's assume for a minute that they are going to all have a massive percentage increase of people able to work remotely. Who are the big winners to you?
What?
Who are the big winners in that case? If that becomes a new trend of people working from home, who's likely to benefit, and where would you think strategically to place your money from a real estate perspective?
Real estate is tough because it's so disparate, right? Like you're talking about taking what used to be, like a building where thousands of people would go to, and then you're spreading them all over the place. So I think just by sheer, and you guys can answer too, but just by sheer nature of the question that you're asking, there's not really a real estate component. I mean, we can get into stock market and stocks to pick and whatnot, but I think that there's it's the inverse effect, like you don't really know. I think that people will end up going further out somewhere, but where? I mean, shit, I know a couple of people that just moved to Idaho. They're like, well, I don't have to go back to work, so. But I'm getting paid my Seattle wage, but now I live in Boise. That's dang.
So,
you can buy a mansion in Boise for $600 grand.
So Donovan,
I looked it up the other day. That's not true. So
it depends on where you want to go.
Yeah.
So Donovan, you're closing on the 8 unit in Tennessee this month, right?
Yeah, I just wired the money today, actually. So.
Woohoo! Congrats. So we have a team in Tennessee. We put out deals every week to our investor community. And so Donovan is closing on an 8 unit in Tennessee that I'm super excited about. But Donovan, okay, so cool story. We have 3 people that are relocating to house hack 4plexes in Tennessee because it's a non-income tax state. So they're going to collect Seattle wages, live in Tennessee outside of Nashville, which is like the coolest city ever, to house.
It is very cool.
And live in another non-income tax state. So yeah, I think you're totally onto something. We'll see. I think time will tell. Employee productivity is probably going to be on the minds of all these big CEOs, right? Like how productive have their employees been during all of this? And then I imagine too, like business travel, that's going to be gone if they can realize that they don't have to pay these huge budgets and like sales meetings. If all their salespeople can do sales calls online on Zoom, I think it's going to change a lot of things. So yeah, I've been talking about that for years and people thought I was crazy. I was like, people are going to start moving away from the coast. And it's, I think we're starting to see that.
You can also, you can see a real estate opportunity wise where I don't know enough about this to be, super professional on it, but conversions. You can sit there. There's malls literally right now being converted into, actual residential units and so forth. So there, who knows? People might start turning commercial properties into mixed use or whatever as a real estate's considered, I guess. But
that's interesting.
Cool. Well, thank you for answering my questions, guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man, and congrats on that 8 unit, dude.
Thank you.
Work me in on the next deal. Come on, man. I love Tennessee. Once you go in a bar there and you hear people sing, You're like, am I
Country
on American
music.
Idol right now, or am I just in some random podunk bar? Like, place is incredible. So
Yeah, I went to Nashville for the first time 2 years ago, and it was a fantastic town. I loved
Love
it. But I
Nashville.
learned that I cannot hang with hot chicken, but other than that, everything in Nashville is for me.
hot chicken. I'm making my mouth water right now.
Apparently, there's places where it's too hot, and I went to one of those. But it's an authentic experience. Sometimes I'm not ready for authentic like I think I am.
That's awesome.
Love
Well,
it.
thanks for coming on, Donna. I appreciate it, man. We are 5 minutes over our time, so I don't want to take you guys up. And people are starting to leave anyway, so whatever.
Oh, we're getting boring. We must
I
be
know,
boring.
so boring.
Yes, Steve.
Hey,
Steve
Tarl.
is on the chickens. I know Carly has chickens too.
Dude, the chickens. Hey, Tarl, you made a promise.
I
Can you
asked you.
just step one step back and then turn around and show us the back of your shirt?
Well, this isn't Erez Toker. This is his brand. So.
And that says Buck Decaf.
Hey, hold on, we just lost like 3 people.
Anyway,
Dropping
so
like flies, guys.
Jennifer, Tarl, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate you guys doing what you do. Keep freaking crushing it. Keep making a difference in the world. Keep freaking making tons of money so I can come enjoy on your yachts or your whatever second homes, wherever you end up getting them, because it'll be awesome. Until then, let's talk on the phone. Let's hang out. And next week, we got mortgage professionals coming on that are going to rock your world and have all of the answers to everything financing-wise. So anyway, thank you guys for coming. Real Talk with Rain City. We out.
Say goodbye to Thatch.
Bye, Thatch. Fuck out.